Spring is almost here again. Um, I'm actually somewhat looking forward to it this year. Um, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, February was a pretty interesting month for music. I finally found an album I'm like really excited about this year. This year hasn't really excited me too much with a lot of the releases that have come out, not even the ones I've been anticipating. Um, but I want to go over some stuff that I've been listening to this month. And actually, just in the past few days, there's been some announcements and some other albums that have come out that I'll talk about that have actually really been exciting me. But I want to start with saying that my goth kind of thing continues, my goth excitement. Just really just realizing it's like just some of my favorite genre of music, all those subgenres within goth, like dark wave, cold wave, minimal wave, post punk, synth pop, whatever within that sphere. I just absolutely love that stuff. It's some of my favorite music of all time. But there's two albums that I've really been listening to this month that I kind of want to go over. First one is an album that came out last year by a band called Lathe of Heaven. It's their debut album called Bound by Naked Skies. I have been absolutely obsessed with this album. I've just been listening to it almost every day for the past few weeks. And I heard about this album last year on a year-end list, and didn't love it too much at first, but then I've really been starting to listen to it again. I just cannot stop. It's really just a great, just post-punk album. Very, very post-punk. There's definitely some more like stuff, kind of like The Cure. Some of the songs are like The Cure. Some are not as much like The Cure. More like kind of like Wire, I'd say. Reminds me of Wire. But man, I've just been so obsessed with this album. I've really been loving it, making me happy. And the other album is an album that came out the beginning of this month, actually, of probably my album of the year as of right now. It's very early in the year still, but it's the first one that I've really just been wanting to listen to over and over. It's definitely the album from this year that I've listened to the most this year. And that is my band called Topographies. Their second full length, I believe, Interior Spring. And this just really, just in that whole goth sphere, I'd say, it's kind of hard to completely define it, I guess. I think they kind of consider it somewhat cold wave mixed with some shoegaze elements, and it's really, really incredible. I love the vocals. I love just the sounds that they create. I even hear like some vaporwave stuff in there as well. It's interesting. So I've really been loving that album too. And getting out of the kind of, I would definitely recommend anybody that's into that stuff listen to those two albums, please. Those are really great. But getting out of the kind of goth area, I've been really found this album, or this EP, called is self-titled, at Riley's Mountain. And this is honestly some of the best shoegaze I've heard in a long time. I've always, I'm really picky about genre. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't really strike my fancy within it, but this EP has really been great. I've really been loving listening to this, driving down the road on a nice sunny day. I just, fits the vibe very well. Really been loving that. And that kind of goes into this next bit that I have written down here. I've been going back to a lot of albums I was listening to around this time last year and into the early spring last year. Two of these actually made it on my year-end list really high up last year. And those two are Narrowhead, Moments of Clarity, and Caroline Polachek with Desire I Want to Turn Into You. Caroline album I've actually been struggling to listen to. I haven't even listened to it all the way through, but I keep coming back to it and wanting to listen to it and really sing along to it. But it's really connected to my ex-girlfriend, so it's been hard to go back and listen to that, and it's kind of bringing me back to this time last year when I was actually still like, I was really like excited and happy about, and just kind of wish I was back at that time again. It's, yeah, I've talked about that before, but that's been a bit of a struggle. But I was listening to the Narrowhead album a lot at this time last year too, and that's not really bringing me back to that time, because it's really just, their sound is like kind of like a nostalgic sound. It brings me back to when I was a kid and reminds me of like the warm summer days, just being out in the world, like doing things. It just makes me happy. And that album just has no misses on it. It's just like honestly perfect all the way through. It's so incredible, like kind of 90s alternative. It's like a mix of like shoegaze and new metal, all that great stuff from that time. I've really been loving it again, and it's just so catchy and fun. I've listened to it so many times. It's another great one to put on driving down the road on a nice sunny day. And then another artist I want to talk about that has come back onto my radar a little bit, because he released an album just a few weeks ago that I still need to like really listen to. And it's kind of, most people know I'm not like really crazy about some trap music. I've been getting more and more into it. I mean, I definitely like some trap music, but it's usually more on like the psychedelic side, which this guy definitely does that as well. But I'm talking about Yeet here, and his album that released last year called Afterlife. I was listening to that album a lot at the beginning of last year, and going back to it now, I'm just like, wow, this actually, like, I really like it. It's just like, I know like it's, people talk about like the lyrical content and stuff like that within that genre, and yeah, it's not great, but it's like, you gotta really look at the atmosphere of music a lot too, and just the beats on this album are just really nice, and just his vocals are cool, like they're kind of varied, and he sounds a lot like Future a lot of the time, like in his usual. That kind of throws me off a little bit, just because Future's just like, I mean, I grew up listening to Future some in my like high school days, but I don't know, it's just like, he just kind of is like the, Future's kind of like the face of just like modern trap, and just everybody doing the same shit over and over again. So that kind of like throws me off a little bit, but I've really been getting past that and enjoying it a lot. So that album is really good, and I really like the cover art for this album too. It's really, this is what kind of pulled me in last year when I started listening to it, and yeah, I've been going back to it a lot, just like really digging that kind of style, and the song Now on there is probably one of my favorites. I just love just the whole like atmosphere of that song. It just like pulls me in. It's just so nice sounding. But moving on from there, as you can tell, I've been listening to a ton of metal music really this month. It hasn't been pulling me in as much, but Spectral Voices album came out this month, and that's been solid. I've been enjoying listening to that. Kind of living up to the expectations, I'd say, in that regard. Then Null's album that released back last month, I'm gonna listen to at the gym when I go to the gym. It's a good gym album. And the most recent discovery actually was just the other day. This released this album on the Leap Day, which is pretty cool. It's by a band called Hecaton Chair. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I'll throw it up on the screen there. And this full-length album here, I can't remember the name right now, I should have written it down, but and this is really like off of first listen, like one of the only metal albums that's really just pulled me in hard this year. Really been loving this one. Definitely check it out if you're into like dissonant death metal, stuff like that. It's just really nice. Really been enjoying that. Excited to keep listening to that. And this album actually was just released yesterday. Today is the 2nd of March, so this technically will be a March one, and it will probably be in my March update video. but Mannequin Pussy released a new album, I've Got Heaven, and I this was on my radar. Like I've seen them live twice in the past. I haven't really loved listening to a lot of their studio stuff, so I wasn't too optimistic about this and knew if I was gonna like this album that much. But off of the first few listens, I was listening to it like 3 times yesterday, and I've been loving it. It's so good, man. It's like this kind of like indie, a lot of like indie influence to it, but also has those like hardcore songs mixed in with it, and just some cool stuff like from like the indie being like influence from 90s sounds and stuff like that. And it's just so good. I've really been loving that, and I'm excited to keep listening to that as well. They're actually gonna be in Richmond in April, but I should have gotten tickets when they announced it back in November, but I fucked up and they sold out, so I'm probably not gonna be able to see them. But they're touring with Soul Glow too, and but I'm actually planning on traveling that weekend to get away in the mountains a little bit, and Soul Glow is actually going to be in the town that I'm going to, so I think that'll be pretty exciting to see that kind of separate show there. And I might do like a little kind of like travel vlog thing for that. I think that would be kind of fun. It'll be like one of the first time to travel alone by myself, so that'll be pretty cool. Not too far away, but you know. But yeah, that's mostly the music I'm listening to. I've got a few. I've been listening to a lot of physical stuff too, but it's been very varied and like all over the place. So there's nothing like, only like a few things that really stick out that I've been listening to over and over again. And the first one would be Over with this album here. I've been listening to this tape a lot. I just love putting this on. It's just really solid Norwegian black metal from back in the day. Just been pulling me in. I've been loving the sound. And I've been listening to this Paramore album again. This is so fun. Really just pulls me in. I love like the kind of like the pop emo kind of stuff that was coming out of that time. Vocals are so good. The song Hallelujah on here, oh man, I just want to scream at the top of my lungs every time that song comes on. It's so good. Just another feel good album for sure. It brings me back to when I was a kid. Yeah, that's about it for stuff I've been listening to. There's been a very exciting announcement from Charlie XCX. I knew there was an album brewing, but she officially announced there's an album coming out this summer called Brat, and I'm ecstatic. I'm very excited about that, and the first single off of it, Von Dutch, is fucking fire. So I am very excited for that to come out, and that will be the album of the summer. I'm sure I'm going to be blasting that all the time and having a good time with that. I love her, my favorite pop artist. People who watch my channel know that. So that's very exciting. So a lot of things have been happening in these past like just few days actually. Lots of exciting music has been happening for me, so that's really good. But yeah, let me know what you guys have been listening to this month. I always like to hear what you guys are listening to, what you're into right now. And before I go here, I'd like to mention, like I've been doing, support my friends here if you can on the side. Got my friend Sophie who does digital cat art, and I've got my friend who does a record label for dark music, black metal, dungeon synth, industrial, all that cool stuff. If you're into that stuff, definitely check him out. It's got some cool tapes up for sale, up for grabs a lot. Yeah, I think that'll do it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.